Hi, I'm Coach Alex. This is Mallory. Say hi.
Hi.
And we're going to be going over some of the drills we have for casting and cast squat-ons. So the first one we're going to go over is our front support with our feet up on a barrel. This can also be done with a mat if we're just holding, but we're going to move on to a rolling exercise. So make sure their shins are on the barrel. So scoot your feet back just a little bit more. There we go. Shins on the barrel. Now, when they hold this shape, you're looking for a couple of things. You're looking for, are their shoulders pushing tall? And they are. You can test, because when I push, she's not going anywhere. I could probably sit on her and it'd be fine. I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. And are their hips flat and tight? So we push here. Yep, that should be nice and tight, not a lot of movement. So what you don't want to see, slouch through your shoulders for me, is that, wow, Mallory has a great arch. We don't want to see this shape where the shoulders are slouched down like that, because when I push, all sorts of wobbles. All right, push back up. Now show me a pike. Just stick your booty out. Yep, and we don't want their booties to be up because, again, not very strong. So flat, tight hips, shoulders pushing around, core should be tight. All right, once they can hold this shape, then we're going to start doing our leaning drill. So she's going to lean over just a little bit so her shoulders go over the bar, lean for the cone, and come back. Let's just scoot that just a little bit closer. So what we're looking for, just go back and forth a few times, making sure the shoulders stay pushing. You're slouching just a little bit as you reach. There you go. Shoulders stay pushing, and make sure they're not trying to use their neck to get to the cone. We want to make sure it's their shoulders that are moving, not their neck, not their torso, not their legs. All right, so Mallory's doing a pretty good job. Mallory, show me one where you just crane your neck and your shoulders don't move. Yep, she's leaning. Now she feels leaned, but this is not the correct shape, so hollow back up for me. Now get your shoulders over. Yeah, and back. Now this is going to be a very uncomfortable drill, so start with the cone as close as you need to make sure they can hold their shape. Then once they get strong enough to hold the shape with just little itty-bitty movements, you can move the cone further and further out. Now obviously we're not going to move the cone like all the way across the floor. That's not going to work, so make sure it's still a reasonable distance where they're not dropping themselves on their face. All right, next. Our next drill is going to be our squat-on jump-off with the floor bar and some mats. So this drill can be done feet from the floor, feet from a panel mat, feet from a higher mat like we have here. The goal is to get from this nearly horizontal body shape to squat onto the jump, because this is really where we want our cast to be. If it's lower, that's okay to build it up, but it's harder to do the squat on from a lower cast. So we want to really drill this almost horizontal shape. Now, we're starting in the same shape we talked about earlier with our shoulders pushing, flat, tight hips, no movement, legs are tight. Her feet are flexed because we're going to be jumping, and we don't want to jump off of pointed toes because that's going to hurt their ankles. So Mallory, go ahead and squat on, jump off. Squat, jump. Now, you'll notice she didn't get much height, and that was because when her feet came to the bar, her booty was way up in the air, so it was harder for her to get her chest up. So we're going to do another one. You want your booty to be lower by your heels so you can stand up and get a good jump. And whenever you're ready, booty down, jump up. There we go. That time she was able to get her chest up more. Another thing we want to talk about is shape on the bar. So Mallory, we're going to do a birdie on a perch. I'll help you balance so you don't get exhausted. So birdie on a perch. We want our booty almost by our hips, but not weighing us down backwards. So they still need to be pushing on the feet and providing that tension. The shoulders and hands are going to be working to balance. So let's see if you can just balance for a minute. Oh, no, you're leaning backwards. You're leaning backwards. Get your booty up a little bit more. There. And now we have a solid shape. Jump off. And we have a good jump that will eventually go to the high bar and produce a good swing out of it. So we want to make sure we're providing tension with those feet and not letting our hips pull us backwards. Next drill we're going to talk about is a drill that we use to help drill the shoulder motion that we're looking for whenever we're casting. So Mallory, start with just do some thigh scrapers for me. So make sure those shoulders go from super, super slouched, so show me slouch, to super, super round. Show me round. There you go. Now, when you do these, you want to make sure the booty is not piking and lifting. So make sure you have flat hips the entire time. Do a couple more. Slouch, round, slouch, round. Yeah, it's all up in the shoulders. Where are you feeling it the most?
Shoulders.
Shoulders, yep, right where she's supposed to. Then once they understand that, we'll add a little bit of a cast. So what we're looking for is when they pre-cast, so their feet come in front, they're leaning over the bar, fold in half. There we go. You want the slouch, and then when they cast, you want the push. So it should be slouch, push. Slouch. Now you see how she goes backwards a little bit. That's a good thing to look for because that means the shoulders are not leaning over the bar properly. So make sure you stay leaned. Yep. And do it again. Slouch, push. Slouch, push. That shoulder extension is going to help us get cast height and keep us leaned over the bar so we can get our feet on for that squat on eventually. The next drill that we're going to talk about is a drill to get them comfortable doing the squat on jump off on the actual bar. So all you're going to do is have a mat. This mat was too low, so we added a panel mat underneath it. And all she's going to do is jump up to that squat position and straight jump off and stick it. We are not grabbing the high bar yet. We are just working on the squat on. If they can't do a cast squat on by themselves, they're not on the high bar. Okay? If they need to do high bar work, you set a spotting block up, have them climb over and do their monkey walks, their little tap swings, whatever it is they need to be doing. But they're not going to jump off this bar yet. So what we're looking for is feet together, knees together in the jump. We want their booty to be low, not stuck up in the air. And then we want a nice tight body jump that goes up off the bar to a stick it. So go again, Mallory. Knees and feet, booty low. Good. Now Mallory's hips are a little bit high, but Mallory's also done this for a very long time. It's okay if your class kids are almost down by their heels, so long as they understand they have to push on their feet, like we talked about over on the other drill for the cast squat on onto the wedge. Now, to spot this, because this will need to be spotted at least their first couple of turns, especially if they're nervous, you're going to spot this until they are comfortable, not until you think that they should not be spotted. So Mallory, hop up here for me. So what you're going to do, you're going to have one hand on their forearm or their upper arm. I generally like upper arm because you have more control. So one hand on the upper arm, and then you're going to have one hand on the back of their thigh. So as they jump, you're going to push up on the back of their thigh to help force that tuck shape, and then this hand that's on their arm is going to help them balance and stabilize. Okay, go for it, Mallory. Now, this hand stays on them until they've shown that they're in control on the floor. That way, if they slip, if they land funky and start to fall sideways, you still have contact with them to help control them. So Mallory, just stand right where you were. Reach up tall. Now collapse sideways. Pull them back up. Go the other way. Pull them back up. They go backwards. You pull them. They go forwards. You pull them. You have control of them. But you have to keep a firm grip until you know they're in control of their body. All right, let's do that one more time. Demonstrate a good spot. Okay, again, hand, upper arm, other hand, back of the thigh. Go. You lift, up, keep hold, and they're good. All right, so to make sure that your mats are the correct height for both the athlete and you, the spotter, we're going to look at a couple of things. So first thing, the bar should be about mid-thigh when they're standing up straight. So Mallory, just stand up straight for me. Yep. Bar should be mid-thigh, and the mat should be relatively stable. There's a little bit of wiggle in these, but they're not going to go anywhere. For you, the spotter, you want to make sure the bar is about hip height. So if you do have to lean over the bar and grab and save a child, you're able to do that without crushing your midsection, without it being down here so you'll tip over. This is a nice stable point. You can lean pretty far over and still be stable on the mat. So I want you to jump way far forward, okay? So make me have to reach for you.
Okay.
This might be interesting. All right, so an example. The spotting block is the right height for the athlete. The spotting block is the right height for the spotter. So we're going to spot this over. And Mallory's, see, I can grab the bar. My hips are anchoring me. I still have a firm hold of the athlete no matter where she goes. Now, in theory, they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to jump up high. But anything can happen in gymnastics, so you need to make sure you're ready for them to jump like a crazy person. The next thing you need to look for, there needs to be a mat stack under the athlete. So when they're in a front support, their feet should only be a couple of inches off. So go ahead, just jump up to front support for me. So we have just a couple of inches between Mallory's toes and the floor. That means as she jumps off, it's not going to be that big of a drop. It's big enough that it's helping them to get comfortable with that jump, but it's still high enough that it's not going to pose a great safety risk, especially if you're spotting it correctly.